Go with me to Daniel chapter 3. And of course, the king, Daniel chapter 3, of course, we all know the story very well. Nebuchadnezzar and all the rulers of the provinces, the king Cyrus made a dedication of gold. Very quick. Which Nebuchadnezzar, whose height was 60 cubits. Then the princes, of course, thereof 6 cubits. They gathered together unto the dedication, verse 3, of the image of Alexander, the king of gold, image. And of course, the king, and then the herald cried aloud, to you it is commanded, O people, nations, and all the riches, that at the time come the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, cymbal, psaltery, dulcimer, which Nebuchadnezzar the king had set. And then the princes, of course, they repeat all of it. To you it is commanded, O gather together unto all dedication, verse 3, at the time come the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, image, that the king had switched. And then an herald cried aloud, to you it is commanded, O people, nations, and languages, that at the time you hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, you fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. And whoso, there's always something. And whoso falleth not down and worshipeth shall the same hour be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. Therefore, at the time when you hear, of course, the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and all kinds of music, all the people, the nations, and the languages fell down, worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Wherefore, at that time, certain Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews. They spake and said to the king Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. Thou, O king, hast made a decree that every man that shall hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music shall fall down and worship the golden image. And whoso falleth not down and worship it, that he would be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. There are certain Jews whom thou hast set up. Now, and I imagine they emphasize who thou has set up over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar, in his rage, notice now, rage and fury, commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spake unto and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, do you not ye serve my gods? Now notice now, he separates his gods from the golden image, nor worship the golden image which I have set up. Now if ye be ready, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, you fall down and worship the image which I have made, well. But if you worship not, ye shall be cast this same hour in the midst of a burning fire furnace. And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hand? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said unto the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful. We're not careful at all to answer you concerning this matter. If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Now notice 19, then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, and the form of his visage was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He commanded the furnace to be heated 7 times hotter than it was. He got all his mighty men and told them to throw them in the fire. And of course, the mighty men died outside the fire, and the boys were alive in the fire. And he looked in the fire, and he was astonished in verse 24, and rose up in haste and spake and said unto his counselors, Did not we cast 3 men bound into the midst of the fire? They answered and said unto the king, True, O king. He answered and said, Lo, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt. And the form of the 4th, and the real interpretation should be, is like one of the gods, like the Son of God. Look at somebody with all the ebullience you can muster and tell them I'm not built to break. When you consider, and I think I should consider Nebuchadnezzar first, because Nebuchadnezzar, believe it or not, was a very narcissistic, egomaniacal tyrant. He was extremely, have you ever seen anyone who is really sold on themselves? And it's interesting that he conquered Nineveh, a city that was claimed never to be conquered, at the age of 17. He conquered Nineveh at the age of 17, and he conquered them with 50,000 men who the historians call Scythians. The Scythians were regarded as the fiercest group of human beings who had ever lived at the time. And they were so mean and so cruel that when they'd conquer people, they would tie the foreign soldiers to their chariots and they'd pull them apart, running the chariots in 4 different directions. And Nebuchadnezzar controlled them not with any sort of council, not with any kind of government. Nebuchadnezzar controlled them by the fierceness of his own personality and character. He controlled these men. By the age of 25, he was world ruler. He conquered and he controlled the world by the age of 25. Can you imagine having a narcissistic, egomaniacal, tyrannical person who controls the world at the age of 25? Now, I don't mind being around people with power if they're mature enough to handle it. And my mother's here. Just wave your hand, Mom. It's good to see you. And it's all right to be around people who have great power as long as they have balance. It's like giving your child power over you and over everything around you when they aren't mature enough to be able to handle it. Nebuchadnezzar was the kind of fellow that you just didn't play with because you didn't know where he was at any given time. He may choose to put an image up of himself, and the image, according to history, was not of one of his gods, but the image was an image of himself. And 3 Hebrew boys, obviously, they confronted him in a very powerful manner.